Hey everybody, in this video we are going to make another comparison between Carmel, Indiana and Fishers, Indiana. We've had a video before about these two where we covered 4 different points that we compared between them. Well, we're going to do 4 additional points here because Carmel and Fishers happen to be so incredibly popular and people have so many questions about them, especially those who don't know that much about them and moving to the Indianapolis area. So 4 more points of a comparison between the two, so stay tuned. Hey everybody, I'm Jason Compton with the Compton Home Group. Welcome back to the channel. If it's your first time to the channel and you want to know everything there is to know about living in Indianapolis or Carmel or Fishers or any of the surrounding metro, then make sure you hit the subscribe button, tap the little bell so you're notified every time we do a new video each and every week. Now we get reach outs from people all over the Indy metro and all over the country with questions about Indianapolis, Carmel, Fishers, really any place surrounding Indianapolis. So if you have questions at all, then make sure you reach out any way you know how, and we've absolutely got your back with the questions, and we've also got your back with your move within the Indy metro and also to the Indianapolis metro. So in this video, it's going to cover 4 more points of comparison between Carmel, Indiana and Fishers, Indiana. And the reason we're doing this is because Carmel and Fishers are very well known, of course, in the Indy metro, but across the country. They've both been voted best places to live in the country by either Money Magazine, US News, Town and Country, a lot of different outlets. They just love these places, and for very, very good reason. They're incredibly, incredibly nice places. But there are a lot of other nice suburbs around Indianapolis and a lot of nice places in Indianapolis too. But people have questions whenever they're deciding on the north side, a lot of times between Carmel and Fishers, and they want to know what the differences are, how they compare. So this is no video that's going to bash one or make one look worse than the other one. It's just the facts of really kind of how they are in comparison to one another. So 4 more points of comparison here coming up. All right, so the first one, both of them are pretty big places. They're close to 100,000 people apiece, so they really compare as far as that is concerned, but what do they look like? So if you were in Carmel, do you know you're in Carmel when you're comparing it to Fishers? Because I'd say that pretty much for a lot of places, even places around the entire country, you can be in some neighborhoods in one city and you wouldn't know if you're in Indianapolis, Des Moines, Iowa, maybe Los Angeles or a place like that even. It might be difficult to tell other than potentially the trees, and you've got palm trees in some and a lot of other different types of trees in the Midwest and another. That might be the only way that you can tell. So Carmel and Fishers, do they have any distinction between the two? And the answer for some of the areas of both is no. They're both really nice places. They both have mature areas. They both have newer areas, so they have places with lots of trees. They also have places without many trees where expansion has grown into farm fields, and you know, the trees are all very young, not very big. So both have places like that. There's no doubt about it on both ends of the spectrum. But as far as the general character is concerned, Carmel probably has a little bit more. Fishers really exploded in the 2000s, and so there were a lot of new build neighborhoods that were thrown up right then before the market crash. And I would certainly say that there are some neighborhoods that were kind of cheaply built, and those builders are no longer around after the market crash. They went out of business, so there might be some neighborhoods to avoid, but there are a lot of other really nice neighborhoods, you know, where the homes are $300,000, $400,000, but it's just lacking in character a little bit. Now that's certainly not all of Fishers. There are a lot of places in Fishers that have really a tremendous amount of character, but Carmel probably has more. So you've got the Arts and Design District in downtown Carmel, but all the character of the homes in there, really super unique. If you get a little further away from that over to the west in places like Village of West Clay, that is where you can find some really expensive homes, but tremendous character in the homes in that area and surrounding that area. And even a lot of the new build homes out in West Carmel have a lot of character to them. So of course you have production homes, but pretty expensive production homes, and then you have a lot of custom built homes as well. So of course a lot of those custom built homes, they have a lot of character, and the area in which they're built also has some maturity, and a lot of character too. So between the two, Carmel probably wins out over Fishers as far as the general character is concerned. Although Fishers does have GEIST Reservoir, you get a lot of unique qualities there. Carmel doesn't have anything like that. So it depends on where you are in Fishers, where you're going to find something that may be a little bit more generic or a little more plain, or something down the middle where you kind of just can't tell where the heck you are. But Carmel overall probably has a little bit more character than what Fishers has. So next point, let's talk about the infrastructure, the roads, and how pedestrian friendly both places actually are. Now, both places have come a long way as far as being pedestrian friendly is concerned. There are a lot of trails in Fishers. There are also a lot of trails in Carmel. There's a lot of bike lanes now in Fishers. There's a lot of bike lanes in Carmel too. They aren't the most pedestrian friendly places, and they're not the most biker friendly places. You can find those kind of places that are much, much better all across the country, but they've come a long way. So the downtown area of Fishers is pretty walkable, but you have to drive to it or ride to it for the most part unless you live right next to it in order to experience that walkability. Carmel has a little more flexibility with that because Carmel has the Monon Trail. Monon Trail goes from downtown Indianapolis all the way up north of Westfield, and it just goes right through Carmel, and people can use that for a number of things. You can use it to get around at least a little bit inside of Carmel, not tremendously, and mostly just going north and south. But it's there, and it's very pedestrian friendly. So you can walk strollers, you can run, you can ride on it. No motorized vehicles or anything like that on there, so you can't have snowmobiles or electric cars or scooters or anything. It's just got to be pedestrians for the most part. And it's a phenomenal trail. It connects so much of Carmel, and it's very, very versatile. So as far as pedestrian friendly is concerned, probably tilts a little bit more towards Carmel. And then infrastructure, just how nice the roads are. A lot of big cities don't have great reputations as far as their roads are concerned. And Indianapolis, yeah, the roads, they're okay. They're not fantastic. When you get out of winter, we get a lot of potholes in the spring. They're pretty rough, and it seems like all summer long there's construction going on somewhere because, you know, you have to take advantage of the good weather to do a lot of your major road repairs or interstate repairs. So that seems to be going on quite often. In Fishers and Carmel, they really don't have as large a problem as what you've got in Indianapolis. The infrastructure is really pretty nice. The traffic can be a little bit dense in both of them, but generally it's not terrible outside of rush hour. But the roads aren't too bad. Now, when you're comparing the two and just kind of what it looks like, well, Carmel's kind of led the way on infrastructure, and actually it's leaked out into other suburbs and even Indianapolis, but Carmel's very known for its roundabouts. It has the most roundabouts of any city in the entire country. And I know at one point in time, several years ago, there were 125, at least that many roundabouts in the city, and that's quite a few for a city of close to 100,000 people, but there are way more than that now because there are roundabouts being constructed right now. There, in the past year, I could probably name 10 different roundabouts that were constructed and stoplights removed, so it's well north of that at this point. But Fishers has also taken on the roundabout trend. So not only is it helpful with the traffic and keeping traffic flowing, they're also safer, but they just look nice. Carmel has some really, really, I want to say beautiful intersections, which is ridiculous to say for a traffic intersection, but they have artwork, they have nice landscaping. It's really just a nice thing to look at instead of all these stoplights and wires and poles. So it's very different. Between the two, the infrastructure is really pretty nice. The nod probably goes towards Carmel, maybe being a little bit nicer, but honestly, they've had a little bit more of a head start and a little bit more of a priority on it for a number of years. But Fishers isn't all that far behind. All right, one of the other ones, and this one is a big question for a lot of people when they're comparing the two, and because it's so incredibly important, is money. So how affordable are they? Carmel and Fishers both, when you compare it to Indianapolis in general, they're not as affordable, either one of them. And when you compare Carmel and Fishers to other suburbs, they are some of the more expensive suburbs. Now, Noblesville, Westfield, Zionsville, some of the other northern suburbs, they can also be a little bit expensive, especially Westfield and Zionsville. Zionsville is incredibly expensive, but it's much smaller, it's a pretty different community as far as the northern suburbs are concerned than when you compare them to Carmel and Fishers. But Carmel and Fishers are both still affordable when you're talking about housing across the entire country. But let's say you've got $300,000 to spend or $350,000 to spend. That's not going to go very far in a place like Denver or Seattle or Los Angeles or New York, even a lot of places along the East Coast or sometimes in major metros in Florida and along the South. Just doesn't go that far, but it will go very, very far here in Indiana. Now, to get into Carmel and Fishers, 300 to 350 in Fishers is kind of the close to the bottom of getting in. You can still find homes in Fishers under $300,000 and pretty rarely under $200,000, but they're few and far between. A lot of times those homes need some work, or the competition for a home that's in good shape at that price is really, really fierce, and it's difficult to get it. So $300,000, you're a little bit safer, but over in Carmel, you're really going to have to notch that up even more. Not unless you're getting a condo or a townhome, which definitely could be less expensive. You can find them in the 200s and easily in the 300s in really nice places in really good locations too. But in order just to break in Fishers, you got to probably go above 300, and over in Carmel, to break in comfortably, you're probably looking at going to 350 or more. So affordability, yes, in general across the entire country, still very affordable, but around the Indy Metro, they are some of the least affordable places to live. Now, as far as everything else is concerned, with gas and groceries, utilities, there's some variances, but affordability in housing is the biggest difference that Carmel and Fishers have between any place else. But Carmel, definitely a little bit more expensive than what it is in Fishers. So why is Carmel more expensive than Fishers in general? Well, it has to do with some of the other factors that we've talked about. So like that infrastructure, the school reputation, and all kinds of other variables too. But overall, it's just a place that people want to be. And when people want something, then you're going to drive the price up. And honestly, when you compare Carmel and Fishers in general, you have more choices in Fishers than you do in Carmel. And that's for almost any price range, unless maybe you get up into the huge price ranges where you're $1 million or more, then Carmel probably has more choices there. But most people aren't looking for a home that's that expensive. They're looking for something cheaper than that. So when you've got limited supply and the demand is there, then that drives the price up. And if you've got more supply with the same amount of demand, then the prices tend to come down just a little bit. So Fishers, definitely compared to Carmel, the reputation is just a little bit different. Plus, there's just a little bit more, you want to call it prestige of living in Carmel than what you have in Fishers. But I don't know exactly how true that really is. But if you talk to other people around Indianapolis or on the south side of Indianapolis, there's definitely a thing there. Southsiders, some people have this idea about people that live in Carmel, maybe even Fishers, that they have tons and tons of money, and there's this reputation, maybe not necessarily a great one, although, like I said, don't know exactly how true that really is. There's a lot of good people that live in Carmel and Fishers, no doubt about it, and a lot of good people that live on the south side of Indianapolis too, but Carmel does have just that little bit of prestige that goes along with it. Fishers is gaining, though. It doesn't probably have the level that Carmel has, but Fishers is now just as big as Carmel, and it has places that are just as nice as Carmel. It's a fantastic place to live, but it's just probably not caught up just yet as far as that reputation is concerned. So there are 4 more points of comparison for Carmel and Fishers, and if you haven't seen the first video, make sure you go check that out so you can check out the other 4 points of comparison that we've made here. So if you have questions about Carmel or Fishers, then make sure to reach out, or any question about the Indy Metro. And if you need help with that move, we'll absolutely take care of you and have your back with that move. So until the next one, we'll see you later.